Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Michael Burgevin. I am now an independent consultant and founder of Bridgepoint Collaborative, but prior to that, I have run academic programs and school management for a number of different charter schools, including Republic charter schools in Tennessee and Mississippi, public prep where we met in the Bronx, and most recently, I oversaw curriculum development in high school for Ascend.
Incredible career. I'm excited to learn more about how you hire. And you're right.
Yes,
We know each other from when I helped you hire for principals and assistant principals many years
you were so good at that.
ago. What's a question you always ask candidates and why that question?
I love that question. So at the end of every interview, I ask people to reflect on the assumptions that they made through the interview and what that says about their mindsets.
Oh,
So it usually sounds like we just had a multiple hour conversation. Think back about the conversation that we just had in your interview. What assumptions do you feel like you made about the school, the network, the role, and how would that impact your decisions and your actions in the role? It tells something about the candidate's thought process and also their level of reflectiveness. And often, like really good questions, answers to that question make me realize that this person is a deep thinker and understands how other people might interpret them and where their biases might show up in their work.
okay, that's really interesting. So what are some of the answers you get?
Yeah. So I think they range. And so some people really struggle with this question and can't think of any assumptions that they made during the interview process. And that tells me that they may not be the most reflective leader ultimately. And some people are really good at identifying where they have kind of jumped into a set of like they've looked at our data or they looked at the job or they've applied some like historical schema that they have about the work.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about a candidate who was looking at our data set for a couple organizations ago and made some assumptions about what we value as an organization and made some assumptions about what training leaders had, which wasn't actually validated by the data. And they were able to draw that connection themselves. They were applying experiences they had being a principal at their last organization. And they realized that wasn't actually true to public prep where we were interviewing at the time. And they came on and they were one of the best principals we've ever had. But, it takes a level of, I think any good leader is a deeply reflective person.
Yeah.
You have to understand where you might be making illogical jumps that don't make sense.
How do you help candidates get an honest, real understanding of what it's like to work in your organization?
Yeah, I've gotten the feedback sometimes I go do this a little too much, but
That's good.
I try to paint the most negative picture possible
Yeah.
of the organization. I tell people in the front end, I'm about to try to scare you out of taking this job. That's what I'm doing. And I paint the worst day possible for them. And either people, to your point, either people get excited about it and jump in, or they freak out and leave. There are some people who pretend like it's okay, but you can see in their eyes that they're deeply terrified. And I think that tells you something about the person's readiness for that job.
But you have to have high EQ to see that reaction in them to know.
I think that's ultimately what a good hiring manager is someone who has deep emotional intelligence and can understand and pick up on what's not being said.
Every great hiring manager has a secret sauce when it comes to closing strong talent, getting them to sign. What's yours?
Relentlessness. I'm a psychopath. There was this ELA director I was trying to close for an organization, and I wanted her. I knew she was the perfect person for that role, but she had, 5 offers. Ours was the lowest salary, and I just didn't let it go. The day after I made the offer, I texted her and asked her what she was doing that afternoon. She said she was at her school, and I said, "Great, I'm getting on the train. I'll be there in 45 minutes." And I went and visited her school and spent 4 hours touring the school and talking with her about the job. And by the end of that conversation, she signed the offer.
You're kidding me.
There was another guy who was the perfect candidate for a math director role that I was hiring for, who the salary just wasn't working. I quite literally had to have our talent team do a full evaluation of how compensation for high school roles worked. And it took me 2.5 months. And I kept him on the line for 2.5 months, and he signed once the salary offer went up. I will just stick with it. When I know you're the right person, I'm going to tell you that over and over and over again, and I'm going to do whatever I can do to clear barriers and be relentless in keeping the focus. She wanted to work with me.
Right. And that's a key piece, right? That's the relationship that you're selling.
Right. And that's what I think I always am selling is I am someone who's going to champion you, work with you, be intense with you, give you all the critical feedback, but you don't choose. It's rare that you're just choosing to work for an organization. You're choosing to work for a person. And I
Yes.
need to show that I'm the kind of person that you want to work with. Like my crazy has to match your crazy. I want these people in these roles, but ultimately I want these people, these are good people. I want them to be happy in whatever role they end up in. So I'm gonna fight like hell for it to be my role. But also, we spent a lot of time in that period talking about other opportunities he had, what was going on in his life, getting to know him as a human being. What is his husband doing? Just building a relationship to understand that, like, I'm gonna push hard to get you in this role, but ultimately, you're someone I care about now. I'm gonna push hard to get you into any good role. And if it can't be here, it can't be here. But let's try to make it here.
I love that. It's just brilliant. And it probably gets people to stick around in the long term. And I think people
Yeah.
want to feel wanted.
People should.
Yeah.
I want to feel wanted. That's
Yes.
one of the things I look for.
Totally.
People deserve to know when people are great, they deserve to know it. They deserve to know that they should be wanted. I think too many people enter into the talent field, right, operating out of a place of fear. Both hirers and people and people who are going out for roles. And I think when people are great, they deserve to hear that during the hiring process. We should just treat each other like honestly and with the respect and dignity that people deserve.
What's the most creative or unconventional thing you've done to help a candidate say yes?
There was a principal in residence who I was working to get to one of the high schools I was managing, and he was torn about leaving his current organization. He was on a leadership trajectory at that organization.
Yeah.
And he had applied because he had a friend who worked at my organization, and he just wasn't sure. I think ultimately what was holding him back was he just didn't know if he was going to get the development, because he wouldn't say it, but what he was hungry for was development.
Yeah.
So I just brought him for a day, and I spent a day coaching him to do the job on site. We just spent a day together,
Wow.
part with me, part with another leader, and like we just simulated what a day in that role would be like for him. And he told me in the end he signed because he wanted to get developed by me. Like that was the thing that was going to get him into the role. And he just needed to see that we meant it when we said we're going to coach and develop you in a really intentional way, and what it felt like.
So this was like after they interviewed, after you had made some
Oh
kind
yeah,
of offer and said,
the offer was there. This wasn't the interview at all. We'd finished the interview. He was now deciding if he wanted to come to us, and one of his drawbacks was he didn't feel developed. And I was like, well, let me show you what it's going to feel like. That
I assume he signed very quickly.
he's awesome. He's now a principal at one of our at that organization's two of that organization's schools. He's great.
Well, last question. What is your best advice for first-time hiring managers?
Three things. Don't be afraid to be honest. I feel like there's so much fear of honesty in this work. You feel like you have to present a certain way or say a certain thing. The candidate's more afraid than you are. Just like chill out and be real with them.
Right. Like that.
Trust your gut. Like you're in the seat because your gut has gotten you to this point. We all can recognize good talent. Do you want to work with this person every day? And be nice. Don't be an asshole. Just be kind to people, because this is a high stress, high stakes kind of process. And showing a little kindness and humility and grace goes a long way.
Is there anything else, any other hiring must-dos that you want to share?
You must give real feedback. And see how they react to it. So I'm rarely hiring for someone to be able to do the job as it stands. I'm hiring for someone who I can have a relationship with and who I can coach and develop. Create opportunities to share authentic feedback and practice. I'm a huge role play fan. I love role playing during interviews. I want to see how you react, not to the role play, but how I coach you in the role play. And I'm going to give you like real praise in terms of how you respond to that, because ultimately that will tell me if you're the kind of person I can coach and work with in the long run. Don't be so married to your script that you can't have an authentic experience with someone. I think one of the best interviews I ever did, she remains one of the top math directors I've ever hired. She came in with this PD. It was good. It wasn't great. And we spent an hour workshopping this PD together, rewriting it, then rehearsing it. And that taught me more about how she works and operates than any interview question or scenario I could ever ask, because we actually did authentic work together. I think it's that, like, do authentic work with people during the interview process, and don't make people do a bunch of pre-work that you don't look at. Do authentic pre-work. Do authentic work with them during the process.
Yes. I love that. Like, it's like, do the work live and let them get a feel for you. You get a feel for them. I think that's really
They need to know how I'm going to coach them too. They need to see what this relationship is going to be like.
Have you ever made an offer on the spot?
Yes.
And what causes you to make an offer on the spot, and what have been like the benefits that you've seen from
Well,
doing
I think what causes me to do it, it's when I know the candidate is right for the role. Like if I know you're right for the role, why waste time? Like They're nervous. I'm nervous. Like, let's move. It also, I think, indicates to people, this is not the intention, but it indicates to people how invested I am in them too. If I can say in this moment, like, you are exactly right for this job. Let me tell you why. And then it also allows you to have the real, like the authentic conversation of like, let's talk about what your barriers or holdbacks would be. Let's talk about what you'd be excited about. So I actually understand what's in your mind. It's not like some phone call later on or an email. It's a real life conversation of like, let's visualize this role. That's people need help being able to visualize the role they're going into. And my job, if I've decided to make you an offer, is to help you visualize that as clearly as possible.
Okay. I have one. Can you hang for one more
Oh yeah,
question?
I'm fine.
Okay. So when you went to Ascend, you built this whole team, right? Like you built this whole team. You didn't have all these people around you, and the team won big. Like
Yeah.
you guys made double-digit gains in 1 year,
Yeah.
bringing together so many new people. And like, how did you know? How did you know you were going to get results? So that's a big risk.
Hired for, yeah, it is. It was a
Yeah.
huge risk. We had to turn over almost 85% of that team.
Which is a whole other conversation. How you do that? Yeah.
I hired for three things. I hired for deep expertise of content because it's a content team. You have to have that. That was honestly the least important of the three.
Okay.
I hired for coachability. Do I feel like you would take my feedback? And have you demonstrated that through all of these interview structures that we've run, which are all just for me to test whether or not you are receptive to feedback and want that? I hired for good people. My rule is like, I don't hire assholes. I don't work with assholes. I don't hire assholes.
Yeah.
But look, the teams that I work with, we're too old for this at this point. I want to work with people who are kind, smart, receptive to feedback. That's all I care about. If you have those three things, and then ultimately team begets team. Like the people who I hired in who were those people who thrived on my team, they brought their people. I only had to make kind of two unique hires. Everything else came from recommendations from those other people.
Referrals.
Yeah.
Why did you like working with me?
Three things come to mind. One, you really understand the skills necessary to do these jobs. You know what it takes to be a good AP, principal, CAO, superintendent, and you can suss out really quickly if people are going to be successful in the context of the organization you're hiring for.
Yeah, that's
Two, you embed deeply. People at Public Prep thought you worked at Public Prep for a while because you got to know the culture and the people so deeply. And there's something really special about that. And three, you were honest with me even when I didn't want to hear it. So like when someone was going to be good or not, there were times when I wasn't clear on it yet. And you were unafraid to tell me to my face, like, this person is not the match for you. This person is. Spend the time. And that was so valuable.
Thanks. Thank you.